Hello and welcome back to the best of Rslash. Today we're taking a look at Rslash I Don't Work Here Lady. So this just happened and I'm actually kind of proud of it. A bit of backstory. I stay with my kids during the day and work nights. My husband and I have opposite shifts so we can save on daycare. Because of this, I don't usually go grocery shopping during the week because it can be difficult getting my kids through the store. My daughter sometimes has meltdowns in big crowds. She doesn't have any sensory issues according to her doctor, but we think she just doesn't like the noise or just gets tired easy and makes her fussy. I remember that I was supposed to get party supplies for work today because one of the ladies there is going on maternity leave and I had volunteered to set up a party for her. So off to the store we all go and everything goes surprisingly well. I'm getting ready to check out at the self-scanner when it happens. I feel a tap on my shoulder, followed by the "excuse me" that we all know and dread. So I turn around. My mistake. Despite the tone used, the lady seemed relatively normal, no Karen haircut, until she started talking. "Excuse me, this won't scan." I look around and she is definitely talking to me. Now, I would normally help even if someone is rude because why not? However, her tone and pitch was harsh enough that my daughter started clinging to my arm. My son just doesn't care, lol. "Excuse me, hello, a little help." I'm just focused on my daughter, rubbing her back because I feel her start to freak out. How this lady thought I could help is beyond me. I don't work there and was dressed like I literally rolled out of bed. Fortunately, the self-checkout attendant shows up and asks what the problem is. The lady says, "This won't scan, and this person," gesturing vaguely in my direction, "is no help." Lady turns back to me while the attendant tries to ring up the item for her. "You are so rude. Are you deaf or something?" At this point, I still hadn't said a word to her, and then the idea hit me, like a freaking beautiful rainbow wrapped in lightning. I'm not deaf, but me and my kids are learning American Sign Language. I just started learning it so I can ask basic questions and can sign the Baby Shark song. Don't ask, my kids love it. Smiling the biggest freaking smile I could manage, I start signing. It makes no sense. I'm basically saying, "How are you? Do you want food? What is your name?" I know a little sign. Baby Shark song, lol. I swear I never saw someone lose color in their face so fast in my entire life. It was glorious. She got her items, paid, and practically ran out of there. The attendant trying her best not to laugh. I turned to the attendant and said cheerfully, "Have a nice day." She and I shared a good laugh and I went home. P.S. My daughter is fine. She probably just got scared. This next story has been posted by Swarm Tendon. A while back, I was working in an office that allowed dogs. It was an open floor plan, and since customers never came into the office, we kept the dogs' food and water bowls right by the front door, just because it was the most convenient space and no one else would see them but us who worked there. Of the 6 of us who worked in the main office area, I was the only one who didn't have a dog. No pets policy at the apartment, and always felt horribly left out. To make matters worse, across the way was a doggy daycare. One day, a very frantic woman came in and she had an absolutely massive basset hound with her. Usually the only people who came into the office were associates who had appointments with someone working there, but it was rare they brought their dogs. She ran up to me and said, "Do you work here?" And I said, "Yes, how can I help you?" And she said, "I wasn't sure if you took walk-ins, but I read online I could just drop him off. I tried to call, but no answer." I didn't know what she was talking about at that point, and I said, "Come again? Who did you call exactly?" Thinking if I could just saddle her off to whoever she came to see, I wouldn't have to decipher her problem. She said, "Well, it doesn't matter now. Look, something urgent's come up and I really need to leave him here. Here's his food he likes, and I'll be back in a few hours and..." At this point, I wasn't thinking of the doggy daycare. I thought maybe she was a friend of someone here. I said, well, all right, can I get your name, please? And she said her name and then asked if I needed her to sign anything. And I was so confused. At this point, I just said, "Why would I need you to sign something?" And she left almost immediately. So I took Otis, the dog, to the back and showed him to my coworkers, and no one knew the woman or dog. I was worried she wouldn't come back, but at the same time, my wish for an office dog had been granted, and Otis was supremely chill. All he did all day was lie around and drool onto his own ears. I just freshened him up every now and then, took him out every couple hours, and he was happy as a clam on a big cushy dog bed we thankfully had an extra of. He just loved attention from anywhere he could get it. At the end of the day, the woman, thank God, came back. She said, "Thanks, you're a lifesaver. How was he?" And I said, "He was a champ," and was about to say, "But why is he here?" when she said, "That's a relief. Most kennels say he gets anxious around other dogs. I heard you operated at a much higher capacity. I was thrilled to see you had so few clients in the room at one time. So how much do I owe?" And that's when I realized she thought we were a dog daycare. Now, I probably should have corrected her, but I loved my day with the office dog and I did want to get paid for supervising this strange dog all day. I just threw out the number that sounded fair and appropriate. That'll be $20, I said. She said, "Really?" in this very high tone, and I couldn't tell if I'd overshot or undershot, but she paid me and left. My coworkers were laughing hysterically when they realized what had happened, and we thought it would just be a good story for the future. But the next week, she came back. She said we were so much more affordable and less overcrowded than her other place that she was happy to use us. I was glad for the company, so just took him. I didn't think there was any way she couldn't have at least some idea we weren't a dog daycare. The whole ordeal was so strange, I just figured, don't question a good thing. I was much younger and dumber then. Not long after, Otis started getting dropped off 2, sometimes even 3 or 4 days a week. I was in heaven. He was such a love, and he made fast friends with the delivery guys and visitors. One day, we took our office Christmas card photo and Otis was over that day, so we included him in a Santa hat. It was pretty great. But it turns out Otis's owner was friends with one of our clients who I guess happened to have the card out on her table or was kind enough to display it alongside her other holiday cards. Because one day Otis's owner came in holding the card and walked up to me and said, "I can't even believe I'm asking this, but is that my dog in this photo? This isn't a dog daycare at all. This is just an office, isn't it?" She said it with a note of surprise, as though she was looking around and putting it all together for the first time. No coincidence that this was the first time she wasn't in some crazy rush either. She was like, "Then, who are all these other dogs?" And I explained. I was terrified she was going to demand her money back, or worse, take some legal action against us for misrepresenting ourselves as a dog care business, or complain to corporate. Instead, she basically said, "Why didn't you ever say anything?" And I explained we just really liked having Otis around. She stopped for a minute and seemed to be thinking and said, "Is that right?" And I said yes, and told the story of how I was the only one in the office without a dog so loved by the company. She seemed a little flummoxed or hesitant, understandably, because the whole thing was so weird. She turned to my coworker and asked if I was telling the whole truth. I don't know why she thought my coworker, also a stranger to her, was more trustworthy than me, but hey, strange times. Coworker backed me up. So she said, "Well, I wish you'd said something sooner. Could have saved me a lot of embarrassment with my friend back there." "All right, I have to get going. See you at 4. And she left Otis. I couldn't believe it. I said, "So he can stay?" And she replied, "Where else could I find someone to watch him one-on-one all day for $20? And off she went. Otis stayed my office dog until his family moved away. Luckily, right around the same time, I took a new job. With all this time sitting around doing nothing, thought it was as good a time as any to tell that story. Too long didn't read. Woman drops her dog off in our pet-friendly office thinking it's a nearby dog daycare. It becomes a regular thing. She doesn't realize the mistake until she spots the dog in our company Christmas card months later. That is amazing. Then Ladav posts in the comments, "This is the most wholesome story I have seen on this subreddit in a long time. Thanks, OP." Which then OP responds, Thanks. To add to the wholesomeness, I can share that as we got to chat with her some, once it was all out in the open, she'd tell us how she'd never get tired of making jokes about it to people. Like, I've got to pick Otis up from work at around 4, and they'd all ask, what do you mean? Is he a service dog? And she'd say, nope, he's an accountant. She once went so far as to take a non-believer on the drive with her and walk him into our office, then walk out without him. She was just beside herself, cracking up as she explained to us the joke she was playing. We could see her friend's puzzled/shocked reaction from the car as she emerged without him and got a kick out of it too. He never wanted to get up to leave. I think he just never wanted to get up, and without fail, every time she got him, she'd say, "What's the matter, buddy? Long day at the office?" and laugh hysterically. That is amazing. Thank you, OP, for sharing the story. You've been listening to the best of Rslash. If you like what we're doing, please leave a thumbs up, as that is the best and easiest way to help our channel grow. Also, please consider subscribing, as we release content like this every single day, 7 days a week on both YouTube and podcast.